Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the special City Council meeting for March 31st, 2026. We have a quorum, and we'd like to begin. Can we get a roll call, please?
Councilmember Maloney?
Present.
Vice Mayor Pearson is absent. Councilmember Mendoza?
Here.
Councilmember Orlemans?
Here.
Mayor Meyer?
Here, please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We are going to start this evening with a presentation, item C1, America's 250th celebration.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, Mayor. Good evening, City Council. Tanya Nguyen, Recreation Manager. So tonight I'm very excited to announce, but also provide an update in regards to our planning efforts for the City of Brentwood's annual 250th celebration happening this upcoming 4th of July. So before I get into my presentation, I wanted to provide some background. America 250, also known as America's Semi-Quincentennial, is a nationwide celebration, and this event is celebrating and commemorating the 250th anniversary of the signing of the Declaration of Independence. Overall, the theme of the national event is to celebrate the journey towards historic milestones and take the opportunity to pause and reflect on our nation's past, honor the contributions of all Americans, and look ahead towards the future we want to create for the next generation and beyond. For us here in Brentwood, we aim to bring Brentwood residents and the community together to highlight our history, including our agricultural history, celebrate our community groups, and to connect our past, present, and future. So I'm very proud to unveil this logo that you see in front of you. This was created in-house by our recreation supervisor, Stacy Dempsey. The logo combines Brentwood's landscape, including reference to Mount Diablo, our agricultural identity, blended with the red and white stripes of the logo, and our patriotic imagery to represent our community's contribution to the American story. So into the event. We're very excited to announce that we have a day packed of activities for the community to celebrate. The day will start 9:30 a.m. with our annual 4th of July parade. Shortly after that, we'll have multiple activations. We're calling it a community celebration downtown, and it's going to feature a number of things that we'll go into a little bit depth today, but it'll include welcome remarks from our dignitaries, presentation of colors, national anthem, land acknowledgement, organized lawn games, educational booths with community partners, kids activities, and much more. We'll also have a concert in the park from 12:30 to 3, featuring the Ragdolls, the ultimate female Aerosmith tribute. All together, again, a lot of happening on that day. We're very excited to bring the community together with these activities. So diving in a little bit more into that celebration downtown, we'll be featuring many local organizations that make Brentwood what it is. We've been building this event with our local partners in the community. For groups or individuals looking to volunteer for the event, we encourage them to reach out to us to learn more about how to get involved in the event. We've already reached out to many of our community organizations and have confirmations from groups such as Veteran Service Organizations, Harvest Time, Downtown Brent Coalition, and many, many others. In addition, America 250 is designed to be a welcoming, interactive, and accessible for all ages and abilities, with additional activations downtown, including honoring service with our veterans with the Veterans Resource Table. We imagine and want to have their presence to have informal storytelling and conversations with veterans. We plan to have flag education activities for kids, including floating demonstrations, and partnering with the local scout troops for proper flag disposal. We also want to tie in our history with pop-up exhibits with local artifacts, photos, and maps, and get updates from groups such as the John Marsh Historical Trust and information on the future of the Marsh Creek State Park. Other interactive experiences include the America 250 art walls and opportunities for residents to share their vision for Brentwood's future. As mentioned, Brentwood has a rich history with agriculture and transportation, and we want to make sure there's activations at the events as well for these items. So we want to make sure there's items such as celebrating Harvest Time's 50th anniversary, corn shucking, tractor races, family activities, highlighting the U-Pick capital of the world, and other information about local farms and historical farm equipment and vehicles. For transportation, we intend to have agricultural rail history and freight movement, regional transportation and future mobility information. We also plan to have a mini train ride with the ADA caboose and other interactive displays. And then we do have some designed fun and inclusive activities for all in the family. Some of these include a sensory quiet area. Our mobile rec will be on site with arts, crafts, and games led by our Camp Brentwood, rock climbing wall, face painting, balloon animals, and much more. So with all of that, we hope that you save the date, Saturday, July 4th, from 9:30 a.m. to 3 p.m. to celebrate America 250 with the city. To learn more about the event or any questions or comments, please reach out to the Parks and Recreation Department. As mentioned, we're available by phone, online, in person, at our community center and our senior activity center. And also we have a newly published 2026 summer activity guide that can be found online, but you could also visit us and ask any questions at any time. With that, that concludes my presentation. I'm available for questions.
Thank you, Tian. Everyone, this is Tian Nguyen. He is our recreation manager. And do we have any questions or comments for Tian? Well, I have to say,
Thank you very much. Thank you for the presentation. Looking forward to it. Thank you.
Stacy did a great job on the logo. I think it represents everything very well, and you did a great job on the presentation. Thank you for that. Okay, moving into public comments. The public comment time for tonight's items will be 3 minutes each. In order to ensure that all speakers feel welcome to share their views, members of the audience are kindly requested to refrain from applauding or speaking to the council from the audience without being called upon first. In addition, in order to maintain decorum and ensure that no one's sight is obstructed, public commenters are reminded not to approach the dais.
At this time, the public is permitted to address the City Council on items that are not on the agenda. Items listed under informational reports are on the consent calendar. Requests for future agenda items, new requests. Comments for the meeting's detailed agenda items or business items should be made when those items are called. Please limit your remarks to 3 minutes. The microphone will be muted when the timer expires. I do have 4 speaker cards in person here. The first speaker is Dan.
Madam Mayor, City Council members, originally I was going to come up here and ask for some money for the 250th anniversary because unfortunately, I don't know what happened, but we didn't get the opportunity to ask for money initially because we wanted to close First Street so that we could have a car show in front of the hall, which would draw some people in. And we had planned on doing a couple other things like free hot dogs and things like that, games for the kids. But that got passed over, so. Other than that, I think it's wonderful that as a city, we are celebrating like everyone else. But hopefully it lasts more than 1 year, the 250th. How about the 252nd or the 53rd? It's a wonderful time. It's the celebration of this United States of America becoming the United States of America. Most people tend to forget. Only on the 4th of July do they come up and say, hey. Those of us that have served know better. We know that on the 4th of July every year is why we did what we did. And I think that sometimes people lose track of that. We don't, but most people do. And unfortunately, or fortunately this year, everyone is remembering. So that's a good thing. So I thank you for your time and for listening.
Next speaker is Dawn, followed by Paul, followed by Jermaine.
Good evening, Madam Mayor and honorable city council members. I'm Don Hester. You probably know me, but everybody else doesn't. With the Marine Corps League, a veteran service organization here in Brentwood and the Brentwood Veterans Memorial Building. We would like to request, and we've talked to city staff a little bit about it, but we'd like to request that as a part of the 250th anniversary, or the fancy word that he said earlier, that we would include the Veterans Hall as a focal point to that. What we believe is the Veterans Hall is not just a meeting place, and we've talked about this extensively in previous comments here. It's a memorial to all those that sacrificed for this country. And it seems fitting that on the 250th anniversary that it be included as a part of it. It's definitely a part of Brentwood. The hall's been here longer than Brentwood's been here as far as a city. It's been here for 100 years. And so, and as the representation of that, we would like to have it included in some way, shape, or form. We talked about some things, you know, could we do a car show or other types of things? All those are details, but we would like to be able to draw people to that part of town. I believe that it would help the Downtown Coalition as well, because it would draw people further down away from just the Civic Park here. And make it a little bit larger of an event. And so that's what we're asking for. And in today, when this country is so divided, this celebration is much more important, bringing people together as one nation as we are. That is all I have. Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor, City Council, staff. Most of you know me. My name is Paul Radliff. Excuse me, I've lived here 30 years. I'm the Vice Director of the American Legion Riders out of the Brentwood Post. I'm a member of the SAL program, and I am a staunch supporter of Brentwood. I'm also a staunch supporter of the city in itself. When I first moved here, it was very monochrome in color. My family's like Baskin-Robbins, 31 flavors and counting, and anybody that's ever been to a family get-together, it's quite funny because we are from all over. I've watched with a lot of pride how the diversity in this town has grown to meet the people moving here, living here, and becoming a part of the fabric of our state and our town. The one thing where I think we need to keep very selective is our current interim chief of police. There's a lot of things where we can grow in diversity, but what I find at my age in my 60s and watching cities bring in police chiefs from other part of the state, other states altogether, is they don't understand the nuance and the history of towns of our size. We're pretty big compared to when I first moved here. There was 12,000 people here when I moved here. We now have what, almost 80? But there's a nuance that grows with small towns like ours, and understanding of that nuance is very, very important because we're bringing in diversity. We're bringing in some wonderful things. I'm speaking about Chief Ogrodnik. I remember the first day he started here. He's a youngster to me, but he is one of the finest people I've ever met. And within 2 weeks of him becoming an intern chief, we had a huge tragedy in this town. And it was awful. It was terrible. Emotions are high and people are full of pain over what happened. And I understand that. I've lost many family and friends. But what we need to understand, what needs to be known and understand, I don't think it's out there, when he followed procedure and the report went to the district attorney's office, he no longer had a say in when it was turned over. The mayor didn't have a say in when it was turned over. Our attorney, city attorney, nobody here had a say on when that video camera and that investigation and report could be turned over to the family and the city and anybody here. Again, I understand the pain. My best friend, my older brother, died in my arms from a rare form of Lou Gehrig's disease from the Gulf War, and he cried in agony from the pain of trying to breathe. And I understand the pain, but it's important to understand through your personal pain that the chief had no say. The mayor had no say. The interim city attorney, nobody here had a say. Thank you.
Jermaine? Jermaine?
Testing. All right, sorry. Good afternoon or good evening, brothers and sisters, mayor, council members. I just want to come here and personally say thank you. Thank you for the grant, for the basketball tournament that we're throwing June 13th and 14th. I wanted to also personally invite everyone to come and attend. With that basketball tournament that we have coming up, we've been able to partner with Chick-fil-A, Longtree Way. They're going to provide a free meal for the first 50 dads that register. We're also seeking sponsorship from a couple other organizations to sponsor some teams, kids in the community that want to play but probably can't afford it. And we're personally going to sponsor a few teams from local AAU organizations, such as Dream Team. I spoke with Dream Hunter earlier today and told them that, we want to sponsor a couple of their teams. So I just wanted to come and personally say thank you for the grant and thank you for all that you guys are doing in the community, and I appreciate you.
Last speaker card I have is Oksana.
Good morning, council members, staff, Madam Mayor. My name is Oksana, and we've met over the last year, and just wanted to say a huge thank you for the 250th anniversary that we're having this year. I absolutely love the theme of agriculture and American roots. As a naturalized immigrant that came from a country that didn't have a lot of freedoms, my husband is from South America. He's a Latino. We all speak Spanish. It's just really nice to be in a town where we do focus on our unity. I absolutely love diversity, and I've shared this over and over, and I just wanted to say a huge thank you for creating events, and we're looking for leadership that unites us. And we hear a lot about sanctuary cities and white privilege and this, and I just love that Brentwood is I like to call it a city of refuge. This is where we could come and we take a deep breath. Our agriculture, our nature, our neighbors, we overcome pretty quickly, and I just wanted to say a huge thank you. I have service, my family, even though we're naturalized immigrants, we served in this country, service members, law enforcement, and I just love what we stand for in Brentwood. So just wanted to say a huge thank you. We'll be coming out supporting, and God bless you.
I have no additional speaker cards.
Thank you. I would like to ask staff to follow up with the veterans just to make sure we're covering all the bases there. Also, wanted to ask Harold, did you have any introductions you wanted to make or anything planned for that?
Yes, Mayor. For the record, G. Harold Duffy, the city manager. I'd like to announce, as yesterday, Terrence Davis is our new assistant city manager. Terrence comes to us most recently from the city of Berkeley, where he was the public works director for, I believe, 3-4 years. 2 years and public works director. Before that, he was with the city of Vallejo.
Thank you, and welcome, Terrence. Moving into the consent calendar, we're going to pull proclamations for item F2, F3, and F4. And I would also like to pull item F10. Anything else? We're good?
So, do you want to make a motion? Yeah. Ready? Okay. So motion to adopt consent calendar on all items, especially the presentations that we'll be doing, except for F10.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And consent item passes. We're going to move into item F2. Doing things a little bit differently today, so bear with us. We've got a few to present, and we're going to start by asking Mary Black and Doreen Forlow to provide a brief history lesson on the city of Brentwood and its agricultural roots.
Oh. Good evening. I'm Mary Black. I'm president of the East Contra Costa Historical Society, and
I'm Doreen Forlow, and I am the past president and the current person in charge of the Resource Center. Oh, my turn first. Thank you, City Council, for allowing us to be here this evening. We are the museum where history comes alive. In the late 1800s and early 1900s, people came here and they stayed. Excuse me. They stayed because of the fertile land that they found between Mount Diablo and the San Joaquin River. That land was used for farming, first dry farming and then irrigated farming. Today it is mostly covered with houses, but not all of them. Not all of the land is covered with houses. Luckily for us, a small group of citizens fought for the Ag Corps that remains today. The Ag Corps is Brentwood's identity. It is in jeopardy of losing, it could be in jeopardy of losing its identity as San Jose has lost its identity. Excuse me. Not much is left, but that is left is fertile. And if you watch what you do, you can still feed yourself from January to December in the fields of Brentwood. We provide that much food. East Contra Costa Historical Society is proud to have collected a huge amount of agricultural memorabilia and history, and we are also proud to be the keeper of that history. Mary?
so I'd first just like to ask, I see a lot of children in the room. How many of you have been to our local museum out on Sellers? Third grade? I see some hands, yeah. How many of you churned butter? Ah, there you go, okay, all right. All right, see, Harold, there's more to do than ringing the school bell. Good evening. Yes, that rich, fertile farmland, as Doreen has described, is what makes the farming history of Brentwood and East County possible. And our East Contra Costa Historical Museum is dedicated to sharing how farming history has evolved from dry farming of wheat to irrigated farming of orchards and row crops that you see today. At the museum, you can learn how dry farming started by John Marsh in 1837, gave way to irrigated farming under the vision and leadership of the Balfour and Guthrie Company in 1910, when they built the canal system to provide consistent water supply from the river to the farms. You can learn how the land once used that was once the Los Magaños Rancho of John Marsh was subdivided for farming into 98 tracts of 5 to 34 acres each, and each would receive water from Brentwood irrigated farms. You can learn how Balfour Guthrie mapped the early town of Brentwood, established water and sewer systems, paved many streets, instituted a phone system, and built the hotel and bank to impress investors, all in 1913. You can learn how farming played a critical role in bringing people to Brentwood during the Dust Bowl and Depression of the 1930s, and with the Bracero program in the outbreak of World War II in the 1940s. Farming has always offered opportunity and improved living for families throughout our history, and in turn, those families who came here have contributed to creating the community that we know today. We are proud to share the history of how important farming has been to our area. We look forward to welcoming Harvest Time next door to us to offer the present and the future at their Ag Innovation Center. And having the past, present, and future together will be a unique experience that will define Brentwood to lead the way in agritourism. So I would like to invite everyone To the museum, we are open April through October, Saturdays, and third Sunday of each month, 10 to 2. And opening day is this Saturday, 9 to 2. You can enjoy a yummy pancake breakfast sponsored by Rotary and Lions Clubs of Brentwood. You can, as our motto is bringing local history to life, you can sit on the fire engine, wear a hat, a badge, ring the school bell, sound the caboose siren, and you can crank homemade ice cream at 11 o'clock. So there will be a petting zoo, quilts on display, games on the lawn, and all the museum buildings will be open with docents with a special display on the history of the East Contra Costa Historical Society. So welcome all. Hope to see you. I've memorized all your faces. I'll be watching for you, okay? If anyone would be interested in a brochure with more interesting information, they'll be on the back counter back there. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And if you couldn't tell, Mary Casey Black used to be a teacher. So we are now going to invite Farmer Al with Frog Hollow Farm to receive our National Agriculture Day proclamation. It's an honor for us. We all follow you. Okay. I'm going to read this to you, and then we'd like if you could say a few words. Okay. This proclamation is being presented to Farmer Al. Does everyone know Farmer Al? Okay. From Frog Hollow Farm. Frog Hollow Farm began in 1976 as a small 13-acre farm in Brentwood and has grown into a leading organic orchard known across California, and I think beyond. At a time when conventional farming relied on chemicals, the farm shifted to organic practices in the late 1980s and helped push sustainable agriculture forward in the region. Frog Hollow also changed how small farms stay viable. By selling directly through farmers markets and CSA programs, it strengthened local food systems and supported fair pricing for farmers. The farm continues to invest in its community through year-round jobs, worker housing, and local partnerships. Today, Frog Hollow Farm plays a key role in defining Brentwood's agricultural identity while advancing sustainable farming and supporting the people behind it. So for the proclamation, are you ready for the whereases? Okay. Whereas the city of Brentwood proudly recognizes agriculture as a cornerstone of our community's heritage and economy, shaping our local identity and contributing to the vitality of our region. And whereas National Agriculture Day 2026, celebrated under the national theme, Together We Grow, highlights the essential partnership between farmers, ranchers, agricultural workers, educators, and consumers in sustaining a strong and resilient food system. And whereas Brentwood's farmers and farm workers demonstrate innovation, stewardship, and dedication in producing high-quality crops that nourish families locally and across the nation, whereas this day offers an opportunity to celebrate the spirit of collaboration, sustainability, and forward-thinking practices that ensure agriculture continues to thrive for generations to come. Now, therefore, it be proclaimed that the City Council of the City of Brentwood hereby recognizes March 24, 2026 as National Agriculture Day. Oh.
And happy anniversary. It's your 50th anniversary, so that's a long time.
It's been a great journey. It's been a great journey, and yeah, sure. Hey, Mark. I see some others that have been here longer than I have. It's an honor to be receiving this recognition, and I will continue to do this as time goes forward. It's great to be part of this community. Brentwood's been a great community. When I came here in 1976, I had no idea what I was doing. I was a rank beginner, and I want to thank my neighboring farmers for giving me the guidance to help me succeed. And I'm just so proud to be part of this great community. I also want to thank the many people the farm workers that actually till the land and do the hard work out in the field and in the packing shed. we couldn't do without you guys. Thank you very much.
Thank you. We'd love a photo. We'd love a photo. And if you have anyone you'd like to bring up? To now welcome forward Jose Antonio Martinez. Good evening. Thank you for coming. Antonio Martinez has been a farm worker in the region for 30 plus years. He is a loving husband to his wife, Patricia, and an amazing and attentive father to his 2 girls. He is someone who will consistently greet people with a smile and has always been a huge advocate for his team. We are grateful for Antonio and his immeasurable contributions to Brentwood. And now for the whereases. Whereas farm workers play an essential role in bringing fresh, nutritious food to our tables and sustaining the agricultural economy that supports communities throughout California and the nation. Whereas the city of Brentwood, located in the heart of a vibrant agricultural region, recognizes and values the dedication, resilience, and hard work of the men and women who plant, tend, and harvest the crops that nourish our families and strengthen our local economy. And whereas National Farm Workers Day, observed annually on March 31st, provides an opportunity to thank and celebrate the individuals whose daily efforts make it possible for farms to grow and harvest food at the scale needed to feed our communities. And whereas the 2026 observance encourages communities across the country to show appreciation for farm workers and recognize their vital contributions to our food system and way of life. Now, therefore, it be proclaimed that the City Council of the City of Brentwood hereby recognizes March 31, 2026 as National Farm Workers Day.
I just want to say thank you to everybody. Thank you for this.
Do you have anyone you'd like to? Would you like anyone to join you for the photo?
We do have one member who'd like to say some words for this proclamation as well, if now would be appropriate. John?
Thank you for the brief moment to speak about Antonio. My name is John Dwelly with Dwelly Family Farms. Antonio has been our employee for decades now, and I'm not much of a public speaker, so bear with me. First off, I'd want to apologize. Not all of our whole family could be here tonight to honor Antonio, but the rest of them send their love and congratulations. Thank you for recognizing Antonio for all his hard work and dedication to an often overlooked profession. I've had the pleasure of knowing Antonio for most of my entire life, ever since I was a little toddler probably. And he's truly a person that I respect and look up to. He's a true leader and a valued member of our farming family. Without his management and expertise, we surely would not have survived all the highs and lows that come with farming. Antonio, from the bottom of our hearts, thank you. And This is a recognition that we have always known privately, but we are so happy to share it in such a public forum. Congratulations, Antonio.
Before we move into our next one, I'd like to mention that we have been asked to use the word conflict instead of the word war, and out of respect for the veteran who made the request, we are very definitely doing that tonight in our proclamation. So I'd like to bring up Dan Duran. You ready? Okay, we're going to do some whereases. I have to say, Mr. Duran has been very active in speaking at city council meetings. As you heard earlier, he is never afraid to raise his voice, and he has very definitely earned the right to do so, and also earned that right for the rest of us here. So thank you for that. Whereas National Vietnam Conflict Veterans Day is observed each year on March 29th to recognize and thank the millions of Americans who served during the Vietnam conflict era and to honor their courage, sacrifice, and dedication to our nation. Whereas more than 2.7 million Americans served in Vietnam and over 58,000 gave their lives in service to the United States, leaving a lasting legacy of bravery and devotion to freedom. And whereas many Vietnam veterans returned home without the recognition and gratitude they deserved, and this day provides an opportunity for communities across the nation to offer a heartfelt and long overdue welcome home. And whereas communities throughout the country continue the national call to thank and honor Vietnam veterans and their families by recognizing their service, sharing their stories, and celebrating the enduring spirit of those who served. Now therefore it be proclaimed that the City Council of the City of Brentwood hereby recognizes March 29th, 2026 as National Vietnam Conflict Veterans Day. Thank you.
Why not? First of all, I'd like to thank the City Council for getting the word war out of that, because it wasn't a war. For those of you that don't know, war has to be declared by the Congress of the United States of America. And all these people knew. So on behalf of Vietnam veterans that have passed and those of us that are still living, thank you so much.
Okay, at this point, we are going to move into item F10. And this item is to review and approve the housing element annual progress report for calendar year 2025. I had some questions on this. I don't know if other council members did or points to make. Would anyone like to say anything, or should I just start? Okay. Amanda, because we're offering this as a separate, after we do the presentation, then are we doing a presentation? No, this is available for questions. This is, okay.
You can, if you want to start with factual questions, or we can open a public comment period, whichever you'd like to.
If you don't mind, let's start with public comments.
Okay.
Thank you.
I do have 2 public comments received, and we did receive, how many? 1 written statement prior to, which is summarized on the screen. First speaker is Tanya.
Hello, Mayor and council members. I wrote it down this time, so I'm not crying.
Raise up here. Thank you.
My name is Tanya Street. I'm a single mom with 2 adult children that have disabilities. And I've been asking for a couple years now, bringing the attention that Brentwood does not have any housing for people with disabilities. In 2022, my oldest son who has disabilities he had to move to Pleasanton, California for Sunflower Hill apartments. Sunflower Hill Apartments is an apartment place for adults with disabilities that can live with support, independence, and dignity. In 2022, I got sick. I had cancer. I commuted 4 days a week to support him in Pleasanton because I'm his caregiver. And he wanted to live on his own and try to see if he can do it. Sorry. So in 2022, I had cancer and I had to have him move back to Brentwood to help me, and so that because I couldn't even continue to commute to help him. Because of that, he now lives in Oakley and he lives independently. While often I check on him. But the reason why I'm coming forward today is because we have nowhere for our children who are going to be aging out of school for them to live. We are all getting older as adults, and so we will be passing on as we get older. And our kids have nowhere to go, nowhere at all. And right now, Sunflower Hill, I brought to the attention of the mayor 2 years ago, is a great place for us to have something like that here. We have a lot of students in the community that are going to be aging out eventually, and there's nowhere for them to go. A lot of parents have, have their children with them the rest of their lives, but we're not all going to be here forever. And I think if we bring somewhere like Sunflower Hill Community Apartments here, they'll be able to live on their own or with roommates and have support from the staff that is there. They also have caregiver units so that the caregivers can help them live on their own independently. The Regional Center of the East Bay can provide supports, living, life skill training, transportation training, and success community resources in Sunflower Hill. Sorry. My other son has Down syndrome, and he lives here in the community. He grew up here. We moved here when he was in preschool, and that's one thing that hit home when I had cancer. I didn't know what was going to happen to my Braden. And I'm not the only parent with Down syndrome. We have a huge Down syndrome community here in Brentwood, and none of the parents have anywhere for their children to go when they pass on. And at least this would give them the freedom, the dignity that they deserve.
The speaker's timer has expired for this item. I'm sorry, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing it right. Is it Myrna?
Can you hear me? Yeah. Hi, my name is Myrna Remsen, and like Tanya, I have a daughter 38 that lives out of Brentwood. I have to uproot her 2 years ago to Oakley in the same apartment complex. It's called Anton Viridian. And anyway, she wrote me, well, I helped her write something because she had been telling me that she wants to move back to Brentwood. And like Tanya, I don't have anybody to take care of her. So I thought, well, I'm going to put her in a place where she can live independently with help. She has a couple of people helping her, but she really wants to move back here. And then this is what she wrote. My name is Christina Remsen. I'm 38 years old. I have Down syndrome. I used to live in Brentwood for 26 years, but I have to move to Oakley because Brentwood does not have housing I can afford. I live in Anton Viridian under Section 42, Low Income Tax Credit LIHTC, that's what it's called. I go to Brentwood 7 days a week. I have my Delta gym that she goes, that I go 4 times a week, Be Exceptional program. I go bowling on Mondays. My friends and family live in Brentwood. I wish I can live in Brentwood, that I love so much. Please make housing affordable. Christina Rems. Thank you.
I have no additional speakers for this item.
Thank you. Jennifer, were you going to just be available for questions? Okay. If you wanted to come up, does anyone else want to say anything before I start?
You can go first, and then because I have a slide to show.
Okay. So I have a few items I wanted to discuss, but one of them, of course, is regarding accessible and affordable housing. And I did meet with Tanya and Myrna and another mother, I think, a couple of years ago. We did take a tour of Sunflower Hill in, I think we looked at Livermore, actually. And they are also in the process of building at the time the one in the La Marinda area. And I think we might need to ask them to move out to the lobby. There's definitely a need for this type of housing. We had Sunflower here in town to do a tour of sites. There was a site they were really interested in. But in looking through the housing element update, I was looking at all the different action items, and we have action partnership program, action for support housing sponsors, action for land acquisition, action for affirmatively further fair housing, action for housing opportunities for special needs group, action for reasonable accommodation, action for housing for persons with developmental disabilities, and action for reasonable accommodations. And with all of those different action items as part of the housing element, I just really feel like if we're going to focus on specifically looking at ways to bring in affordable housing to meet some of those numbers, that it would be a great thing to also meet the accessibility needs of our city and our residents. We did talk, again, as I mentioned, with Sunflower Hill, and they had a lot to say about kind of layering fundraising and how expensive projects like this are. And at the time, again, we had a site that we were offering up. There are, of course, all kinds of grants, state grants and county grants, and I don't know if they're federal or not, I'm not sure. But I'm bringing this up because I want to make sure that as we are moving through our cycle for our housing element approval, I'd like to make sure that we're also focusing on the accessible, affordable, the combination of the community that we could develop here in Brentwood to serve that need. And I don't know if Harold, I would love it if we could take a tour, another tour, since you're here now. But if is there anything you could add to that or respond to that with, or?
Yeah, so I am very familiar with Sunflower Hill. I actually previously worked for the city of Pleasanton, and from start to finish, through entitlements, through project application to construction and final, I worked with Sunflower Hill and Irby Ranch. So it is something that is very near and dear to me. But like all affordable projects in the city, they do take partnership. It's typically not something that we have access to do on our own, and neither does Sunflower Hill. So it would take extensive partnership, but part of our programs within our housing element is to create those relationships with private entities, with housing developers, and put them in connection with companies or nonprofits like Sunflower Hill. So that is something that we are definitely working on through our housing department and continuing to do throughout the housing element cycle.
And I don't think we introduced you. Can you do that, please?
I'm Jennifer Hagan, Principal Planner with the Planning Department.
Thank you. I think it should be noted too, at the time when we first had the conversation, there were grants available at that moment. I think we've got 2 mics on, available at that moment, that kind of before things were ready to happen. Like there's a whole process that, as Jennifer knows, takes years to put into place. And so I wanted you to come. I wanted the newer council members to also hear about this. Is it something that would satisfy an affordable housing need as well? And then we don't have impact on schools. We don't have impact on roads. There's not a lot of parking infrastructure issues. This is kind of, for me, the best of both worlds in trying to meet the needs of the state and also to meet the needs of our residents. So just wanted to bring it back into the conversation and potentially continue conversations about it. Jennifer, thank you for that feedback. I'm going to turn it over to Councilmember Mendoza, and then I have a few more points as well.
Yeah, I think the difficult thing for us right now is that we know that federal funding has been cut. So a lot of the people who were working on it, and we see articles about this all the time, the dollars that were going to go for affordable housing have now been cut by the current administration, so the fundings are not as available. But I am going to share my screen real quick. One thing I need the public to understand is that we do have affordable housing requirements. This is the 5th and the 6th cycle, and the 6th cycle is the cycle we're in now. The 5th cycle is the one we finished. So during that 5th cycle, I think we produced about 3,636 homes. 3,500 of them were above moderate. So that's part of why when Susanna and I got elected, we really fought for inclusionary housing and no in lieu fees any longer, because we knew we were, as a city, there was a disservice being done when it came to affordability. The 6th cycle is what we have to build. So 641 above moderate, 247 moderately low, 232 low, and 402 very low. And these are for ownership, but the good thing about our inclusionary affordable housing is that it's both for rental and for ownership. So as soon as we haven't, as far as I know right now, we don't have any apartment complex applications, but when we do get them, they will also have to meet our requirements of 18% affordable housing. So hopefully, once we can start getting those built, we'll have some units that are available, and they're not in a development like Sunflower, but they will be in, everyday apartments. So hopefully, I'm crossing my fingers, we get some apartments. The Innovation Center is supposed to have a lot of multi-unit housing, so we hope that happens. But I also want people in the public to understand that when it comes to building, I know a lot of people say, don't build, don't build. There's times that we can say no, but as long as they're meeting the California requirements, we have to build. And the thing about it too is that halfway through your 6th cycle, if you don't have 50% of all of the tiers done, not just total 50%, but each tier, then it kind of goes into a builder's remedy kind of scenario where they can kind of do whatever they want to do with the zoning. So I know people don't want us to build, but and trust me, that's kind of why I ran, because I did not want any more development. And we do fight it as much as we can, but sometimes the laws force us to. So that's kind of where we are right now. And I just wanted everyone to know, because by next year, if we don't have 761 homes built, which is a number, you can't see it because of the ticker down there, it's we're going to be in a world of hurt. But the numbers are a little different. I just think it's timing of when I downloaded it today, but it probably hasn't gotten all of your numbers. But thank you, Jennifer, for doing that. And I will say only 12% of the cities in the entire state are meeting 50% of their affordable housing number. So most cities across California are going to be stuck with a builder's remedy type scenario. So that's the one thing. But I am hoping we get some apartments, and then when those come in, hopefully there is a list. So when you see the affordable housing list open, please sign up for that list, because then that's kind of the lottery of when those units become available. So thank you.
And Jennifer, can you potentially speak with our 2 speakers to just let them know how to find that?
I do have a question, actually. Since the last 2 years when you have done the tour and everything, has there been any type of interest from partnerships or nonprofits or developers to collaborate on something, or something to collaborate with the city on something like this?
Not that I've seen specifically. Typically, the developers that we've seen have been developing their own affordable units and are carrying on their own instead of partnering with other nonprofits.
And to be clear, though, Sunflower is interested in working with us. It's just the other part of it that we were missing.
Okay.
Right. They don't have a partner currently to work with. Yes.
So Sunflower currently has no partner to work with.
Correct. We need to partner them with usually a private developer who comes in. The way that the Pleasanton one worked is there was a single family developer, and as part of their entitlements, instead of paying their affordable housing fee, they donated 2 acres of land to the city, in which the city then worked with Sunflower Hill to develop the project on that 2 acres of land. So it was a collaboration between the private for-profit single-family development, the city, and Sunflower Hill.
Got it. And does the city at all, like in your past experience, does the city solicit for any of these partnerships?
Yes, the city can definitely go out, create these relationships with these partnerships, and then based on circumstances, have the right nonprofit developer to partner with different types of projects.
Thank you. I appreciate the holistic view.
Thank you, and I've just got a couple more points to make too. And this, for me, pulling this had the dual purpose of addressing accessible, affordable housing and also just making sure that our residents are clear on where our controls stop and the state takes over. And so I wanted to just clarify a couple of things. Can you talk about what discretion we do have when a project comes to us?
Mm-hmm. So currently, right now, the overarching discretion that we have is currently setting the zoning. We have our zoning, and that sets the density and the types of residential development that we want on each of our parcels. From there, basically, we are currently working on our objective design standards. We have an interim objective design standard that we are currently applying to all residential projects, both single family and multifamily, but we are working on a more robust, comprehensive set of objective design standards that are hopefully going to go before the city council within the next 2 months. And that really is our biggest toolkit for using. As part of that objective design standards, developers need to come in and they need to meet all of those standards. They have the ability to request exceptions to those standards. And if they're requesting exceptions from those developmental standards, that's when the projects become more discretionary. And the city council or the planning commission would have the ability to approve or deny some of those exceptions in the overarching project. But the thought is that if a developer comes in and they meet all of the objective design standards, the cities, for the most part, have very little discretion for a project.
Thank you for clarifying that. We've had an ordinance change, an adjustment amendment, I should say, to our ADUs. Can you give a brief overview of what that looks like and what people can expect from that?
So we have actually amended our ADU ordinance every January for the last...
I'm sorry, we should say what an ADU is for people who don't know.
An
Sorry about
accessory
that.
dwelling unit is what we call an ADU. The city, we've actually amended our ADU ordinance every January for the last 4 years. This is one of the hot ticket items for legislation. They are continuously changing some of the legislation to make them more streamlined and make them more available to all residential properties within the city. Our last update in January actually did not make many substantial changes. I would say the most substantial changes were within probably 2 years ago. But currently, accessory dwelling units, if they come in, they meet setbacks stated from the state, which we are unable to modify. As long as they meet some of the state criteria, we have very, very little that we can do. It's an administrative process. It goes directly to the building department. Planning only checks for setbacks, heights, and in some cases, minor design.
Thank you. And I think I'm just going to go back to what Councilmember Mendoza mentioned as far as what the numbers are and what we're technically required to at least have zoning for and where we're supposed to be halfway through our cycle. And so just to make it really clear to everyone listening, this is, it's kind of a battle for us. Obviously, we're going to follow the law and do what we have to do legally to meet numbers as best we can, but we're also going to do our best to try and stand up for what's best for the residents, because at this point, we are not able to, and you can confirm if you don't mind, we're not able to make any housing decisions based on schools being overcrowded, roads being overcrowded, our jobs, housing being out of balance, any of those kinds of reasons that you might think we don't need another huge housing complex over here because there's not a new school to balance that out. We are not allowed to make that decision that way. So anything else you want to add to that?
That is absolutely correct.
Okay. Thank you very much, Jennifer. Oh, yeah.
But I also think if you have a problem with the numbers that we're giving by the state, that's up to our residents to contact our state legislators. So Anna Marie and Christopher Cabaldon are the ones that vote for us, and they voted yes on every single one of these housing bills. So if you want them to vote no, you got to tell them. And if we're not telling them, then we can't blame them because their donors give them a lot of money to vote yes.
And you can find your legislators by by searching Find My Legislator and putting in your address. Thank you, Jennifer. Just to close that one item? Yeah.
Yeah. So a motion to approve the Housing Element Annual Progress Report for calendar year 2025.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you very much. Okay. Moving into item business item G1. I'm going to move over here. Lindsay Pinnell, Recreation Supervisor, will present the next item regarding the 2026 PATA MOU and project. And if you could spell out what those acronyms mean, that would be great. Thanks, Lindsay.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council. Again, I'm Lindsay Pinnell, Recreation Supervisor. I'm also the staff liaison to the Arts Commission. I'm here tonight with the PATA class to present the proposal for their 2026 project. And PATA stands for Public Art and Design Academy. So tonight, staff's recommendation has three parts of a recommendation to approve a resolution. The first is to approve an MOU, Memorandum of Understanding, with Liberty Union High School District for the Public Art and Design Academy, PATA, in the amount of $8,500. The second part of it would be to amend the 2025-26 operating budget by $8,500 to the Public Art Acquisition Fund for the utility box preparation and painting in 6 locations, and increasing the operating budget by $2,500 to the Public Art Administration Fund for a ribbon cutting ceremony. Lastly, it authorized the Director of Parks and Recreation to execute the MOU and make any minor revisions as approved by the City Attorney. As you can see, the fiscal impact, we are looking for $88,500 to go from the Public Art Acquisition Fund for the materials and artist compensation for the utility box project in 6 locations. And again, from the Public Art Administration Fund, $2,500 for the ribbon cutting event, with a total budget amendment of $11,000 for the event and the cost of the utility boxes. Usually, as you know, with our ribbon cutting events, we do it at the site of where our public art pieces are, but with six different sites, we are hoping to do it at the community center and have one big celebration for the completion and print out posters and have models of the utility boxes for people to see. To keep you updated on the projected fund balances as of June 30th, included in the requested amendments on the previous slide, as well as adjustments that are going to be requested in a separate agenda item tonight being represented. The June 30th, 2026 projected fund balance in the Public Art Acquisition Fund is going to be $3,236,751. And in the Public Art Administration Fund, it will be $1,061,095. Just a little bit of background. In 2012, the Arts Commission recommended partnering with Liberty High School's PATA program to create 5 agricultural themed designs, and that launched actually our City of Brentwood's utility box program. So those were the first 5 that were done in our city. And as you can see at the top, they were strawberries, and those are located on Brentwood Boulevard and 2nd Street, the corn on Brentwood Boulevard and Oak Street, the cherries on Walnut Boulevard and Oak Street, the peaches on 2nd Street and Maple Street, and the pumpkins on 2nd Street and Pine Street. This year's proposal includes refreshing the same 5 utility boxes located near and around Liberty Union High School that were done in the 2012 project. And the scope of this is to keep the kids, the PATA program, the students and the teachers decided that they wanted to keep our agricultural theme going. So they will change the designs of the boxes by keeping it agriculture, but also will be providing the current students the opportunity to create new and original artwork of their own. In October, PATA presented 24 design concepts to the Art Commission. The Art Commission narrowed it down to 6 designs. They were hoping to narrow it down to 5 because we had 5 boxes that we chose to refresh. But all of the designs were so amazing that they decided to add in a 6th box. So we now have 6 boxes and 6 designs. So the students will be prepping, priming, and painting the boxes. The new location is currently a blank utility box on the corner of Brentwood Boulevard and Sycamore Avenue. And the students will come up and go into each of the designs, but the Arts Commission designed the Farmers Market, Pomegranate Tree, Blooming Day, Blooming Night, Culture, and Mount Diablo. And now I would like to invite the PATA students up to tell you more about their designs.
Good evening, Madam Mayor and Brentwood City Council. Or is the presentation coming up or? Okay. So we, the PATA class of 2026, we are looking into repainting some of the electrical boxes pictured beside. These were initially painted by one of the first PATA classes over a decade ago, so this is kind of an important project. These new works would serve to best represent the multiple aspects of Brentwood's environment and culture, as well as allow us to get experience working with a major project like this and designing with a city. The original designs have kind of aged. It's been a while, like due to the elements, they've been a bit weathered down, and I think it's a bit like in time for a repaint. And it would also allow us to like represent Brentwood's culture, because we have a lot, so.
Good evening, City Council. Just like Alexis has previously said, we are excited to propose a public art transformation for these utility boxes into small pieces of artwork that reflect Brentwood's natural and agricultural roots. Our first design is called Blooming Day. This design includes California poppies, butterflies, dragonflies, and baby's breath set against a blue sky background. These elements represent Brentwood's farm, pollinators, and open spaces and its peaceful character. Beyond the beautification of making these boxes, just look nice, it is said that painting the boxes is proven to reduce graffiti and maintenance costs while increasing community pride. This project would turn everyday infrastructure into something that quietly celebrates Brentwood's pride and beauty as a city. In our design, we have the orange poppies, which is, of course, our California state flower. This represents Brentwood's place in California and its agricultural landscape, and is a symbol of resilience, growth, and natural beauty. We also have a butterfly that represents its pollinators, which is essential to our agricultural roots, and is a symbol of transformation and reflecting and thriving, just like Brentwood. We also have our dragonfly, which is found near the wetlands and creeks that we do have just in Brentwood, which symbolizes harmony with nature and a clean environment. And of course, we have our baby's breath scattered along in the paintings, which represents a community connection with many small parts, just like everyone in the city, to create something beautiful. Of course, our blue background is what our set of the beautiful blue skies we see almost every day.
Brentwood is known for its farms, orchards, open skies, and natural beauty. These designs bring those elements into neighborhoods in a subtle, positive way that residents will recognize and feel connected to. This project is a simple, low-cost way to bring art, nature, and Brentwood's identity into everyday spaces while creating something residents can feel proud of.
Good evening. My name is Mocha Darrett, and I decided to have the design be centered around Mount Diablo because it is in the City of Brentwood logo, as we can see right behind the mayor. The design I created here is centered around pop art and scrapbooking style, consisting of bolder lines, brighter colors, and patterns resembling screen tones in classic artworks like comic books. I believe a bright palette for this Mount Diablo design fits appropriately because it's such a stark contrast to the calmer and earthy tones this city holds and is surrounded by, while emphasizing the colorful nature that reside on the mountain. A simple interpretation of the flora was set to highlight the core elements that make said flora eye-catching and beautiful. This includes the bush monkey flower, California fuchsia, hospital canyon larkspur, California milkweed, and purple needlegrass that really shine crimson in the sun. The mountain being primarily a warm yellow is to highlight the true star of our setting horizons, Mount Diablo itself. I believe it also brings out the energy that Brentwood's community has, with different textures to represent the variety of cultures that built this city. Additionally, the binder paper and sticker scrap paper elements reflect the thousands of childhoods that have been nourished, as well as being an overall representative of the youth of Brentwood. They're considered the foundation of the future, after all. With all the included designs in this presentation, it can motivate young, aspiring artists to continue and decorate our town and with pops of color and life into the city. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Zoe Boisvert, and our piece is titled The Farmer's Market, and we really wanted to focus and hone in on the agriculture side of Brentwood. In our design, up at the top, you can see the original renditions we made digitally, and at the bottom showcases the life-size versions that we painted on the side of a wall. We wanted to capture some of the stages and environments that the fruits and vegetables of Brentwood go through. The first design depicts one of the many farmers of Brentwood at work. You can see him collecting fruit while the sun is rising in the background, which represents the long hours and how the fields and farmers never rest even when the sun does. In the next design, we are taken to one of the U-pick fields. As the U-pick capital of the world, it felt disingenuous to make a design about Brentwood agriculture without including such a pivotal part of the culture. Here, we pictured a long rural road along the side of a cherry orchard with a big U-pick sign in the foreground inviting people in. The third design brings us to the farmers market stands. Every Saturday, downtown Brentwood hosts a farmers market with a wide array of different products. This is a very important part of our piece, as we feel it is a very important part of Brentwood. On display, we can see apples, cherries, peaches, and blueberries, which are just a small fraction of the different crops that the farmers work so hard to get on our tables. In our final design, we focus on the simple yet meaningful act of picking fruit directly from the tree. This moment represents the connection between the people and the land, emphasizing the hands-on experience that defines Brentwood's agriculture.
Good evening, Council. Our piece is depicting culture. Rather than a more straightforward topic like the farms and the environment, and especially like Mount Diablo, we had to depict culture, which was a lot more of a complex and nuanced topic. So rather than a very straightforward concept, we chose to depict it through like an abstract art form. Around a lot of the times we chose a mix of abstracting a lot of the how I say this, we extracted a lot of the various things you see in Brentwood. For example, we have the Delta Theater, is a very big landmark in downtown, but we use various colors to, depict the abstract emotions that are brought forth due to visiting and living in Brentwood. Another thing, or another example of that is the depiction of the Saturday markets, the farmers markets, which have very bright colors to emphasize the, colorful nature of the markets and the various stands that are there. We depict the sunset with the pink, as well as the bright blue skies you see on a Saturday. And generally, the whole day is a lot more like an abstract, emotional representation of Brentwood rather than like a straightforward concept. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Raisa Ali, and I'm the designer of Pomegranate Tree. This piece is inspired by what I see in Brentwood every day. Whether I'm walking down the street or I'm sitting in the backyard of my mother's garden, I see pomegranates everywhere. And Brentwood is known as the U-pick capital of the world, but I don't see pomegranates being talked about a lot, even though I see them everywhere. Which is why I made this design one morning, sitting in my mother's backyard.
Yes, please. Where did it end off?
Take your time.
Something you might not know is that a pomegranate season is during the late fall, early winter. This piece was also supposed to balance out another piece my friend made, which was a daisy field which bloomed during the late spring, early summer. The hummingbird you also see there is a native California species that is called ants. Thank you.
This piece is called Blooming Night. It's supposed to complement Blooming Day. This is the nighttime version of that same scene, so it has the same flowers like baby's breath, California poppies, as well as California fuchsias. It's supposed to show and talk about how Brentwood has more to offer than just daytime activities. We also have a very lively like nighttime scene. Like if you walk out right now, you will see a lot of people talking and socializing. I honestly see more people socializing at night than day. But we wanted to add the fireflies because I think that kind of resembles the way that the lights on the trees are. And I think that's a very like relatable and cozy feeling that a lot of Brentwood residents might have. So I think it's just a cozy and relatable piece about what it might look like at nighttime in Brentwood. Thank you.
We have one more slide budget, but I did just want to explain to council, there is a picture on the top of the screen, and that is what we gave the students initially. When we do our call for artists, we give them an 8.5 by 11 piece of paper with the different sides of the utility boxes. And so they started off by designing the utility boxes on that smaller piece of paper. Arts Commission asked them to make a larger scale drawing to have them come back and show them. So the students had paper on the side of their building over at Liberty, and they drew the larger scales. So the bottom pictures are of the actual paintings that they practiced, which will be going directly onto the utility boxes. And with that, we have our budget. Is anyone doing it?
This was an example budget that I made to demonstrate how we would be spending the money that we get. This and any excess that we have from this, we will also be using to get chaperones on the weekends that will monitor us in the 6 different locations as we paint. And also focusing on getting a variety of paints so that we don't run out, and we mainly focused on getting the main 3 colors so we could mix new shades as we go on and increase the variety of paints that we use in our pieces. And Also, we also plan on spending some money to put it for some comfort for the for painters as we paint. We are planning on getting sunscreen, bug repellent, and water.
Thank you. So up on the screen now is just a reminder of our recommendation tonight. That concludes our presentation, and we are all available for any questions.
Thank you. Does anyone have questions for staff or the artists? Okay, we're going to move into public comments, and we'll have comments ourselves after that.
At this time, the public is permitted to address the City Council on this agenda item. If you're participating via Zoom, please raise your hand to speak. If you're in person, please file a speaker card. Your microphone will be muted if you speak on items that do not pertain to this agenda item or after the timer has expired. We received 0 written public comments in advance, and I don't have any public comments in person. I do have 1 hand raised in Zoom. Tracy, go ahead.
I am wondering, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, awesome. How do I hire one of these kids to paint an Xfinity utility box that's leaning, that I would love to have painted a leaning Tower of Pisa? I want to hire one of these kids. So how do I do that?
Amanda, would you like to follow up with this resident?
I'd be happy to. Tracy, I will reach out to you.
I appreciate that. Yeah, very much. Thank you.
Double checking that this is not a city utility box that you're having painted, right?
Yes, it's Xfinity, and I've called multiple times, and they just apparently don't mind that it's rusted and leaning over. So I thought if I painted it, it might not aggravate me as much.
It might aggravate an Xfinity, but okay.
I've called, trust me.
Thank you. I have no additional speakers.
Thank you, Amanda, and thank you, Tracy. Moving into discussion, who would like to start?
I'd like to say thank you all so much. I love everything that you do. The fact that we have our youth involved in the development and the expression of our arts throughout our community and everything, your artistic ability, I'm fascinated by it. You are all inspiring. Thank you so much, and I'm really proud to have you here.
I echo those sentiments. Thank you so much. I've said it every single year. This is my favorite meeting, when you guys come and show us what you're going to do, and then when we actually see the final product. So thank you so much for all of your time and dedication, and to your instructors who put in so much time and effort as well. So thank you.
So again, it's a pleasure to have you guys come forward and try and explain your visions, and then for us to get to experience them, like the mosaic right out in front of the community center, or the sculptures out on O'Hara and Sand Creek. And the vision you guys present to us, seeing it come to life, is amazing. Thank you so much for everything you guys are doing. I do have maybe a kind of a question, but just so clarification for some of our citizens. Carrie, can you explain where the funds for the art project balance and the Arts Administration Fund come from? And
yes, thank you for the question. Good evening. So the funds that are being used for this project are from the Public Art Fund, and those are all contributed by new development in the city. So when new development comes in, they provide dollars for infrastructure such as water, wastewater, and roads, but they also provide dollars for public art to improve the city. And all the funds being used for this project are strictly from development dollars.
Thank you.
And I'd just like to add, it is an inspiration to see everything that you all are bringing forward, and cannot wait to see it actually on the utility boxes. I'm a little disappointed that the grand opening is going to be on paper, but it makes sense. So we'll try to all attend that. I love the representation. I love the abstract. I love the color choices. I love the way you all see Brentwood in such different ways and the way you express that. It's beautiful. So it's been said by everyone, this is really, truly a favorite of ours. It's very uplifting. It's just very cool to connect with all of you and to hear what you think about Brentwood and see how you view it. So thank you so much for spending your time. Again, thank you to the instructors, and we really appreciate your dedication to art, and we hope that you have huge and very successful art careers moving forward. Thank you so much for coming. And we are going to take a motion.
As set forth in the staff report, I move to adopt a resolution approving an MOU with the Liberty Union High School District regarding the 2026 PATA project in the amount of $8,500.
I'll second.
All in favor? Aye. And the item passes. Congratulations. Moving on to our next artistic endeavor. Item G2, Tien Nguyen, Recreation Manager, will present the next item regarding the Banner Up program.
Thank you, Mayor. Again, good evening, Mayor, City Council. So tonight, presented to Council is an approval for an agreement with the Art Guild of the Delta for their 2026 Banner Up program and to amend the fiscal year 2025-2026 operating budget. So for tonight's presentation, I intend to provide some background information about the Art Guilds of the Delta and their Banner Up program, provide some history on funding and past partnerships with the city, highlight some past challenges and proposed changes to the program, and provide a recommendation for the City Council's consideration. So to start with some background, the Art Guild of the Delta is an 18-year and older membership 501c3 organization founded in 2013. Its mission is to bring together people with a mutual interest in fine arts while promoting camaraderie and ethical principles and practices, as well as fostering creativity among artists. The Art Guild of the Delta will be a service to the community by providing cohesive and congenial groups who promote the arts and advancement in all areas of artistic endeavors. In the audience tonight, we have Mary Lamb, one of the co-founders of the Art Guild of the Delta. So we appreciate her presence tonight. So that's a little bit about the Art Guild. Banner Up is a program that's been hosted by the Art Guild for the last 9 years. It's a community art program that engages local artists and brings vibrancy to downtown Brentwood during the summer months. At its heart, it's an educational program as public art naturally creates opportunities for learning by integrating creativity into everyday life. The program invites artists of all levels to design original hand-painted banners displayed throughout downtown and City Park. These pieces not only beautify the space, but also tell the story of our community and support local tourism by bringing people to the downtown area. So as mentioned, Banner Up's been around since 2017. In its inaugural year, the city partnered with the Art Guild of the Delta for the program. That first year in 2017, the city did provide some public art funds to start the program, as well as economic development grant funding for the program. Subsequent years, the program has been funded mainly through economic development grant funds. As competition for these grant funds have increased and costs for the program have increased, award amounts for the Banner Up program have also decreased. The Art Guild of Delta has been challenged to find ways to continue this popular Banner Up program. Adding or maybe in addition to some of the financial challenges to the Banner Up program, in 2025, 2 banners were hung that generated some criticism regarding the imagery and messaging presented. In response to this, the Art Guild of Delta undertook a review of the Banner Up program guidelines. As part of the review, the Art Guild of Delta determined to move forward with the program by establishing annual themes to promote greater alignment in messaging and introduce additional selection criteria to provide clear guidance in determining which banners are approved for display. The Art Guild of the Delta also presented their program again to the Arts Commission in late 2025 to establish a partnership with the Commission and to again request the use of public art funds for the program. Following discussion, the Arts Commission recommended to partner with the Art Guild of Delta Banner Up program. City staff worked with the Art Guild of Delta to establish program criteria and selections, as well as clarifying that participation in the program does not guarantee banner display, and also mutually agreed upon standards for public display suitability. This is referenced in the draft agreement attached to tonight's staff report, and the Art Guild of Delta will be presenting these banners to the Arts Commission in the future for review prior to the banners being hung. Consistent with prior years, the Art Guild of the Delta remains committed to collaborating with the city and community partners, including Downtown Brentwood Coalition, to ensure the program continues to celebrate and unify community through public art. So I did want to provide a little bit of a kind of a schedule just to kind of give the council a reference. This is also included in the draft agreement as far as project schedule. But where we started was the project was recommended by the Arts Commission back in September 2025. Where we are is tonight requesting approval from City Council to use public art funds for this. And then if approved tonight, that would then go to have the Art Guild of Delta release the call for artists for banners in the spring of 2026. Once that call closes, the Art Guild of Delta would go to the Arts Commission to present the eligible submissions for their call for artists. Banners would be installed in summer 2026, and then banners would be removed no later than September 30th, 2026. So with that, for City Council's consideration tonight, staff recommends authorizing the city manager to execute an agreement for public art program administrative services that amount to not exceed $14,000 with the Art Guild of Delta for the 2026 Banner Up program, as well as amending the fiscal year 2025-2026 operating budget by increasing the public art administration funds by $15,000, and then authorizing the city manager to execute the agreement for the public art program administration services with minor adjustments as approved by the city attorney. That concludes my presentation, and I'm available for questions.
Thank you, team. Do we have questions for staff?
Yeah, I have a couple questions. So let's, just the finances of it. So we were doing it out of the economic development. Are we no longer going to do any funds out of economic development? It's all going to come from public art fund?
Yes, Councilmember Mendoza.
Okay.
If council approves tonight, the funding would be coming from public art administration funds.
Okay.
And Art Guild of Delta feels comfortable that they would not then apply for economic development grant funds for this year.
Perfect, thank you.
I have one question, maybe it's for Carrie. With us using the public arts funds for these different projects, how is it going to affect the Marsh Creek Event Center and whatnot? And I don't know if we can use any of that funds for that, but I just want to make sure.
So currently, the funds that we have most in supply are the public art funds, and those are actually funds we're looking to disperse. We're more limited on economic development funds, frankly. Those are always in high competition. So in terms of scarcity, I would say these are less scarce and more readily available. So making that swap probably provides more flexibility to council.
Got it, thank you.
And if I recall correctly, we couldn't use a lot of the art funds for the amphitheater because it was just some of it could be art, but for the most part, we couldn't use the dollars, so there was a lot left over.
I remember that. We couldn't use anything for construction per se, but if we wanted to do any types of arts projects around it, we could.
Yeah, and I think we took some funds out for that, but there was still a lot left over.
Good.
Okay, so, and I should have asked, no? Okay. It's been a couple years since I was on the LED committee, the Land Use and Development Committee that makes the decision on economic development grants. And so I'm trying to remember the awards that come through that. Are they calendar or are they fiscal? Do you want to just repeat what? I think that was...
From my understanding...
If team could, just to make sure people at home can hear as well.
From my understanding, they're fiscal, to answer your question, Mayor.
Okay. And so, thank you. Thank you very much for that. So last year, during fiscal year 26, was there an award for the Banner Up program?
So the last year, and I'm looking at the chart and staff report. July 22nd, they received $5,000 for 2025. The request originally was for $13,000, but they were only awarded $5,000, and that was for 2025. This year's request is for this year's 2026 Banner Up program.
Okay. And so the July 25 happened last year. So it's actually fiscal year 26, but in the year of 25, given how fiscal years work. Okay. I'm asking because I'm also curious what the tie-in was. This does seem like a good fit to pull these funds from the art funds as opposed to the economic development, but I'm curious what the original fit was with economic development. Do we know that?
Maybe the short answer, Mayor, for me is I'm not quite sure. What I was able to gather at the time was when the Banner Up program started, it was part of an economic development initiative just to provide additional banner displays downtown. So the Banner Up program was part of a bigger initiative, and that's where the military veteran banner program also originated, as well as some of the seasonal banners that you see downtown as well. So all that kind of together as an economic development initiative. But I don't want to mislead you, Mayor, that
no, that makes total sense.
I don't have the full story, but that's from my understanding researching it.
Thank you. No, that's a great answer. Thank you. And the last thing I just wanted to be clear, because if there was an award of $5,000 and we are currently asking for, I'm sorry, 15 or 14, I can't recall, because the resolution says 14.
Yeah, if I could clarify that, the $14,000 would be going to the Art Guild of the Delta to provide the art services for the program.
Mm-hmm.
We wanted to set aside $1,000 in administrative funds for city staff because if there's a partnership, we also want to do promotions marketing for the program as well. So that's why we set aside that $1,000. So essentially, the agreement will be $14,000 going to the Art Guild of the Delta. That second action of updating the operating budget for $15,000 would be the $14,000 for the guild, and then $1,000 for staff administratively to help promote and partner the program.
Got it. Thank you. And I guess my last question, I know that there was several years where there was a request for funding, but the full amount was not granted. But the $5,000 was, so the $5,000 plus the 14 is going to be the total at this point for this fiscal year for the project. I'm a little confused about how that's working. And at this point, maybe would you mind coming up and speaking to the microphone? Thank you so much for helping us to understand this. If you speak in the microphone, we can make sure everyone at home hears as well. Thanks.
Hi. As Tian said, I'm Mary Lamb. I am a co-founder of the Art Guild of the Delta, and we did put in a request for grants for the current year, the year that started, and received $5,000. We would not use that $5,000 for this year. We would strictly use the money that the Parks and Rec is recommending. So
great. Thank you so much for clarifying. And if we didn't receive
that, then we would attempt to do the program with the 5K.
Got it.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for approaching.
Sure.
Okay, any other questions? Thank you, Tian. Okay, we can move into public comments at this point, please.
At this time, the public is permitted to address the City Council on this agenda item. If you're participating via Zoom, please raise your hand. If you're in person, please file a speaker card. Your microphone will be muted if you speak on items that do not pertain to this agenda item or after the timer has expired. We received 4 written public comments in advance of tonight's meeting, which are summarized on the screen. I have 1 speaker card in person. I believe it was Oksana. I don't have a name. Oksana?
Thank you so much. Just wanted to say thank you so much for this Banner Up program. There was a lot of beautiful art up there. Last year, we spent a lot of time downtown as a family, and we actually got a chance to go online and get to know the artists and their hearts behind it, so that was really beautiful. There were 2 controversial pieces. One had a foot stomping a flag, and it felt it was a little insensitive to our strong veterans community. And there was another one that I found it it a little bit insensitive, but it was this beautiful little piece with a lot of different hands on it, and it says, "You belong here with all the same rights as a white dude." And I was just like, oh man, I have 3 little white dudes. Both my husband and I are immigrants, but our children tend to look a little bit more whiter. And I was like, how do I tell my little white dudes they belong here too? And so I appreciate the theme this time around, and would love to, I think as a public, get to know a little bit more what the theme might be, if that could be made available, or, I mean, I guess I don't mind the surprise, but just would love to see that theme. Just loved what the kids were talking about. Again, that fresh air, that nature, our history, our culture, our agriculture. Just love to continue to echo that through this program. Thank you so much.
I have no additional cards or hands raised in Zoom.
Thank you. Moving into discussion. Just wanted to make a comment myself. Of course, art is always up for interpretation, and I absolutely respect the ability of people to be able to express themselves however that best fits what their vision is. So thank you for that part of it. If we don't have any more discussion, then we will take a motion.
I'll make a motion as set forth in the staff report. I move to adopt a resolution authorizing the city manager to execute an agreement for the Public Art Fund administration services in the amount not to exceed $14,000 with the Art Guild of the Delta, Inc. for the 26 Banner Up program.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And the motion passes. Congratulations. Okay, moving into item G3, Christine Andrews, Assistant Director of Finance, will present the next item regarding the donations policy.
Mayor, if I might, before Christine Andrews starts, I would just want to take a moment to thank her for her time as the interim finance director. She did an outstanding job, and it was a great way to see the depth that we have within the organization when someone rises up to a different level and then people backfill and do an exceptional job. So I wanted to say I was thoroughly impressed with Christine.
Thank you, Harold. I think all of us would agree. Thank you so much, Christine.
I appreciate that very much. So, good evening, Honorable Mayor and City Council members. Tonight we are presenting proposed updates to the city's donation policy. This policy provides a framework for accepting or declining contributions to the city made to support a public purpose in a way that ensures transparency, impartiality, and compliance with applicable laws. Donations are different than sponsorships that may be received for city events. Donations are made without expectation of benefit in return, whereas sponsorships could offer recognition in event advertising, social media posts, and other benefits. The primary driver of this update is to ensure that the city has a way to accept public donations in advance of the Community Day of Service, along with other events throughout the year. This policy has not been updated since 2018, and city operations have evolved. The proposed updates include revising the city manager's authority to accept donations. The current policy allows for city manager to accept unrestricted donations of up to $10,000 without council approval. The update would allow the city manager to also accept restricted donations of up to $10,000, which could apply to donations restricted to events such as the annual day of service. However, the policy has also been updated to clarify that any donations that would impose more than a nominal future cost on city operations would still need city council approval. The policy also requires the city manager to evaluate all donations to ensure that they serve a public purpose and that the city maintains the highest standards of transparency and impartiality when accepting donations. The revisions also formalize the process of accepting donations by requiring the use of a donation acceptance form and by providing the donor an acknowledgement form that meets IRS requirements within 30 days of the donation. Finally, the policy proposes annual reporting to the City Council of all monetary donations greater than $500 and information on all non-monetary donations. Staff recommends adopting the amended donations policy, which provides a clearer process, improves accountability, and increases transparency. This concludes my presentation, and I'm happy to take any questions you may have.
Thank you, Christine. Do we have questions? Okay, thank you. Moving into public comment.
At this time, the public is permitted to address the City Council on this agenda item. If you're participating via Zoom, please raise your hand. If you're in person, please file a speaker card. Your microphone will be muted if you speak on items that do not pertain to this agenda item or after the timer has expired. I did not receive any written public comments in advance of this evening. I have no speaker cards in person, and I have 0 hands raised in Zoom.
Thank you, Amanda. Moving into council discussion.
I kind of see this kind of in line with our behested payment, the new rules that we have with behested payments in the state. And I was wondering if we could change the threshold to 5,000 to be in line with behested payments, just so they kind of all match up. And then the other thing I was wondering is, and I don't know if this is a big deal, Carrie, could we get reportedly quarterly instead of yearly? I think yearly goes really, really far out. And I'm just thinking myself as when you're a resident, you kind of want to see what donations are coming in and from who. And I will tell you that someone already called me and like, is there going to be any pay to play with this? I'm like, there's no pay to play. It's just donations. So I think the more transparent we are, the better it'll be. So those were just my 2 suggestions. If we could add that, those updates, I think that would make it just a little bit more transparent and a little clearer and in line with behested payments. And then my other question is, if a council person, because the behested payment just says you solicit, it doesn't differentiate between donations and sponsorships. So if a council person is asking for these sponsorships or donations for, if you're doing it for Community Day of Service, does the mayor have to report out if for $5,000 and more for that? Do we know? If it's the mayor actively making that request?
I don't believe a report out is required for that, for the Community Day of Service.
But if it's 5,000 or more, how does that not fall in line with behested payments? Because the behested payment says
Behested payments are defined as payments made at the behest of a committee, an elected officer, or a member of Public Utilities Commission or an agent thereof. These payments are subject to, so if it's over 5,000, these payments are subject to $5,000 from a single source in a calendar year. And so if the question is it above the $5,000 threshold?
If she were to get like $6,000.
If it qualifies as a behested payment, which is what I just read, then it would be reportable, yes. Sorry, I think I misheard you.
Okay, perfect. So that's just what I was wondering. So like we have that and we have Juneteenth. So all of those, anything over $5,000 and over should be reported anyway.
Yes.
Okay.
Is that reportable by the city or the individual elected official?
That would be the individual elected official.
Although the money is going to the city. I just want to make sure that.
Yes.
Okay. It's anytime you ask for a donation, then you have to, if it's $5,000 and over, you have to report it.
So to be clear too, if this is for in-kind items and cash donation or sponsorship for that matter, or just donations? I also want to, while you're looking, I want to say too that I would much prefer staff solicit anything for Community Day of Service. I don't want to be asking for anything. If there was somebody that reached out to me and said, we have $5,100 in gift bags for your Community Day of Service, I would turn them over to staff. I don't want to deal with that.
So I'll have to get back to you on the in-kind. I mean, what I'm looking at right now cites the $5,000, but I'll have to research whether or not the applicable in-kind, it would make sense that it would apply if it has a $5,000 value above, but I don't see it in the text that I'm looking at right now.
Okay. And then I think at this point, Community Day of Service is not looking for sponsors. So it's kind of a moot point, but I do think it's wise to to have this kind of thing in place too. And again, donations and sponsors are very different. Very well aware of that in my nonprofit work, but I do think it's a good idea to have this clear. When you were talking about, Councilmember Mendoza, about a reporting, is that something you would feel comfortable about putting into consent and pulling as necessary? Or do you want an actual
I
staff
just think
report?
consent would be fine, or even like, oh my God, the warrants, we get a monthly warrant, I think. Or maybe we could do a quarterly list of this in an email, just as an FYI, unless you feel like you need to publish it to the public, or, I don't know. If you want to put it in, actually consent might be a good idea, since we don't want to be accused of pay to play. So yeah, consent might be, actually, now that I'm talking through it.
So to be fair though, staff could make the solicitation and there wouldn't be any issue there, even if it's for community day of service or whatever event it is. They could reach out to, like, say if we had a contact at, I don't know, some big corporation that said, hey, how do I get involved? They asked me that question and I turned them to you. That's still okay.
Yeah, well, so in the behested payment rule, what we're looking at a committee, an elected officer, or a member of the public utilities, or an agent thereof. And so staff is separate from those definitions. Yeah.
Great,
So
thank
for
you.
example, if we have like concerts at the parks and we have businesses that are donating like massive amounts of water, that's not reportable as long as the elected official is not a part of that ad hoc committee, is what I'm understanding.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Well, I think as long as you're not the one asking for it. You can still be part of the committee, but if you go ask someone, like if you call Clorox and, hey, Clorox, can you donate $10,000? Then you have to report it.
But the way I'm understanding it, if you're on part of that committee, or am I wrong?
So the committee falls under the rule, and so if you're a member of the committee, if the question is, does that then committee apply, right? Yes, that applies.
Okay.
It says a committee, an elected officer, or obviously not Public Utilities Commission, but an agent thereof also.
That's what I understood, and I just wanted to clarify. Thank you.
And now I'm going to further clarify, just to be really, really clear, because Community Day of Service is in the planning right now. I'm a liaison committee, whatever we're calling me. I don't even know this for sure. We're making something official like that, but I'm not making any requests for anything. So if staff were to get a request for an item or a donation or whatever, and I have nothing to do with it, I don't have to report that.
That's correct, because that doesn't fall
good.
into those categories, correct?
Great.
Yes.
Thank you. It can be a little nuanced. Thank you for that. Any other comments from council members?
The change to that Councilmember Mendoza requested, lowering the standard to the $5,000, little concerning in the sense that we're talking about huge corporations like Clorox or Costco or any of these large organizations. As long as we're not soliciting the money, why are we going to put a limit on the city manager or staff accepting up to $10,000 without having to come to council to ask permission first? I trust that our staff is doing their job extremely well and ethically. I'm not saying we're not going to tell the public we're getting these funds. It's going to be reported out anyway, but the minute we start talking about limiting those numbers or lowering those numbers, it's going to put a little more stress on our general fund or wherever else we're going to have to go looking for that money instead of donations. I think the $10,000 limit is fine through staff. I don't have a problem with the $10,000.
I just think the $5,000 would be easier because then it's in line with the behested payments. And if it's on consent, I don't think it adds that much more of a burden. They have to do the work anyway. It's just a quick staff report, like standard staff report.
So just to be clear too, and I think when you're talking about the behest, are you saying an FPPC policy?
Yes, and because their guidelines are 5,000, I think that we should err on the side of caution and do the same guidelines and not miss anything.
So, and you're not just, I want to make sure we're.
Can I just interject that
yes,
the reporting, the reporting part is we are saying anything over $500 would be reported in any in kind, and we had an annual. We could make that quarterly.
Okay.
So that you would actually see every donation over $500. Which I think is separate from the city manager's authority. I just want to make that clear that we weren't saying $5,000 and up to be reported.
Yeah, this is for it coming to council. I mean, I would just, for transparency purposes for the public, I'd like for it to come to council. So it's for the public, not necessarily for staff, is why I want it to be super clear.
I just kind of wanted to get the opinion of our city attorney and city manager on your take on this.
So essentially what you're asking to do is to, when you align those limits, you're giving yourself greater visibility and greater ability to detect what's happening in those payment ranges. And as long as, in my eyes, what you're really looking at is, do you mind the additional, work that's coming your way in exchange for additional visibility and making sure that you're in alignment? And so I think it's I don't want to, if I were to have a perspective on it, I think it's a very responsible move for you all to make if you are able to deal with the additional work that comes associated with it. If not, then, you just have to make sure, and I'm sure the city manager will exercise, his professional responsibility and make sure that he's providing sufficient information to give you that comfort. I think the ultimate decision will be made upon how you actually feel about that oversight. Do you want to bring it to the level where you can have closer scrutiny of it? Or are you comfortable stepping backwards from that range, which would be between the $5,000 to $10,000?
Also, I think one of the most important things to consider here is operations. So for example, let's say if it's $5,000 or $10,000, and if you want to talk about transparency, what you don't want to do is create a system where we can accept a gift because we have to get authorization first. So maybe what you want to do is to say any gift that the city receives within a certain period of time at a certain number needs to be reported to the council. So for example, if someone were to give the city a donation of $5,000 and we could $5,500 over that 5,000 threshold, we could accept that with a requirement to report that to the council within 30 days. That way, there's transparency there, and you also have a requirement to report back on those items.
And that also helps with operations and doesn't limit the ability to accept those. It just means reporting differently.
I'm
I
okay
think
with
that works.
Yeah, I like that. We're still getting the report, and you can go ahead and do what you need to do. Yeah.
Thank you, everyone. Very good contributions to this. It really helped. Okay, any more discussion? Do we have a motion?
I can make a motion. So I move to adopt a resolution amending Council Administrative Policy number 00-10 donations policy, as stated with the updates that anything over 5,000 can be approved by city manager within his rights, and then will come for just as an FYI to council within 30 days. And the reporting of over 500 will be quarterly versus yearly. And that could be in consent. Yeah.
I'll second.
Are there questions on that, or are we clear?
Are we good?
Casey, you look confused.
Oh, no, they were. You guys good?
Are you paying attention? You have to stay after class? Okay. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
That motion passes. Thank you very much. Okay, moving into G4. Brant Wilson, Associate Civil Engineer, will present the next item regarding the awarding of a contract for the Pavement Management Program 2026 concrete.
Good evening, Council and Mayor. My name is Brant Wilson, and I am an Associate Engineer. Today, I'm presenting the contract award for the Pavement Management Program 2026 concrete project. This is a citywide initiative focused on improving pedestrian accessibility and removing sidewalk hazards. The red dots on the maps to the right indicate the project location. The scope includes reconstruction of 6,350 square feet of sidewalk, 736 linear feet of curb and gutter, 689 square feet of driveway approaches, and 12 new ADA ramps. Here's an example of a tripping hazard that we're addressing at 1792 Moreau Way. The city received 11 bids for the project. The lowest apparent bidder is Spectrum Engineering, Inc. at $773,195, which was well under our engineer's estimate. The project is funded by general funds and RMRA funds. The fiscal impact will be a total of $429,174, which is the base contract plus 15% contingency. In summary, staff is asking council to approve funding for the PMP 2026 concrete project and authorize the city manager or designee to execute the necessary documents in an amount not to exceed $429,174. Thank you, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Brent. Any questions for staff? I have one. Thank you again for the presentation. The photo that you showed of the current damage that we're trying to fix, an example of what that we're trying to fix, that's a significant difference between one side of the sidewalk and the other. How long does it take for something like that to get to that point? And then how quickly can we address it or paint it or do something to make sure that people are aware of that hazard?
It really depends on what's causing the damage, on how long it could take. A lot of the uplifting of the sidewalk is typically done by tree roots, which can happen over a couple of years. We can usually send staff out within a day or two to do some markings if needed to make that aware and make sure that we get the process of putting it on our remove and replace.
And Mayor, if I might also add, when you finish.
You can step in.
Sure. I was just going to say that your question is a very important one in terms of identifying those items and then also to how quickly we respond. But I also wanted to get an opportunity to have Sakari Bashir, our HR director, who's also risk management, who's done a phenomenal job for us in terms of addressing these hazards. So she might have some comments in this area also.
Thank you, Harold, for that opportunity. Us being proactive in fixing the issues with the sidewalks helps us in terms of any trips, fall hazards that we may receive. The city receives claims for those and it may result in us having to pay those out. So I'm thankful to hear that we're being proactive to help to reduce those claims and the liability for the city.
Thank you, Sakari, and thank you, Brent. And I wonder too, if residents do see something like that, is that something they can report with a photo and upload to our 24/7 app?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. That's correct. The majority of these are brought to our attention through the 24/7 app from residents, and we typically have a responsive next day for those. And we don't just mark them. We'll either cut them or we'll ramp them. We'll take some asphalt and we'll smooth them over until we can get our contractor out to repair it or do those repairs ourselves. But most of the time we have those responses to residents within the next day.
Thank you very much, Casey. I appreciate all of that, actually. That's very helpful.
Can I just,
yes, of course.
Didn't we just recently, within the last year or two, purchase the grinder for the concrete to kind of smooth out the less big bumps in the concrete? And we can do that quite quickly ourselves since we own the equipment?
Yeah, we can do some of that in-house. We have a grinder. Depending on the height of the cut that needs to happen, you can lose the structural integrity of the concrete. So how we repair that depends on how big the lift is and some other factors.
Thank you all. Moving into public comment, please.
At this time, the public is permitted to address City Council on this agenda item. If you're participating via Zoom, please raise your hand. If you're in person, please file a speaker card. Your microphone will be muted if you speak on items that do not pertain to this agenda item or after the timer has expired. We received 0 written public comments in advance. I have 0 speaker cards in person and no hands raised in Zoom.
Thanks, Amanda. Any further discussion? Want to say thank you again, Brent. We don't get to see you present very often, but that was terrific. Thanks very much. And then Sakari for stepping in, and Casey as well. Thank you. And Harold, of course.
I can make the
Okay,
motion.
do we have a motion?
As set forth in the staff report, I move to adopt a resolution approving the contract documents, awarding the bid, and authorizing the city manager to execute a contract and necessary documents for the Pavement Management Program 2026 Concrete CIP Project Number 336-31705 with Spectrum Engineering, Inc.
I'll second, sorry.
All in favor?
Aye.
And the motion passes. Thank you again. We're going to move back into informationals. That typically is at the beginning, and we're moving that to the end now. So, Councilmember Orlemans, can you please start with your informationals?
Yeah, I was gone most of the time from the last council meeting until the current council meeting. Nothing to report out, but thank you.
You're allowed to have a vacation. Councilmember Maloney.
Since our last meeting, I was able to visit with some of the Harvest Time members to actually see the first UPIC sign that was installed on the side of Vasco. That was beautiful. I'm so excited to see all those signs all over our area. I also attended the Brentwood Pal Crab Feed. What a great event put on by the Police Activities League and with the support from the Brentwood Explorers. That was a really nice event. I also visited downtown for their Irish pub crawl, and it was great to see all the businesses and the DVC bringing the community together in such a fun way. I also was able to visit the Filipino Street Food Hub located at 7760 Brentwood Boulevard. Definitely worth checking out. It was awesome. The food's delicious there. The owners were really nice. I also attended a budget and debt management ad hoc committee meeting alongside our finance department and Councilmember Mendoza, your favorite committee. Thank you to everyone that was involved. Christine, Carrie, thank you all. I additionally attended the Brentwood Winter Market ad hoc committee with Councilmember Mendoza as well. I'm really excited to see that come into fruition. I also attended the Social Nuisance Ordinance Ad Hoc Committee meeting with Councilmember Mendoza. I'm happy to share that this item is expected to come before us end of April. And thank you. We've been working on that for the last year and a half, so I'm super excited to see that come through. Hopefully it can help some of our residents. I also connected a couple of our community members with our planning department to help address some of their questions and needs for permitting. And businesses and whatnot. I also visited Dad's Diner, formerly Diner's Dad's Cafe, which recently changed ownership. So please stop by and show your support. They're starting to have some activities and whatnot. I also attended the one-year ribbon cutting for the Artisan Peacock. Thank you, Sarah and Medina, for creating such an amazing community space for everyone. And they also organized an artisan market at the fountains at the streets of Brentwood, which turned out great. It was really cool. I also attended the grand opening of the Card Lab Supply at 420 Beatrice, and I'm really, really inspired by the young entrepreneurship and the energy that it's going to be bringing to our community. So congratulations. And I also loved all the Eid celebrations. Eid al-Fitr is basically a 3-day holiday for our Muslim community right after Ramadan. So happy Eid, Eid Mubarak. And also Easter is coming up. So happy Easter to everybody.
Councilmember Mendoza.
Since the last time we met, attended our budget subcommittee meeting, attended a business owners meeting over off of Brentwood Boulevard to talk about the East County Service Community Building, which actually sadly had its groundbreaking today. Attended a meeting where Assemblywoman Anna Marie Farias spoke about the 11 bills that she has coming. She does have more housing bills. Attended a meeting with the president of the Chamber of Commerce. Attended a Cal Cities legislative update. So committees, the budget subcommittee, the winter market subcommittee, the social nuisance subcommittee, attended the Latino Caucus Communications Committee and Latino Caucus Board of Directors meeting. Joined the mayor with the Muslim community to celebrate Iftar. I think I'm saying that correctly. Attended the 1-year anniversary for Artisan Peacock, where they had an artisan market, where the mayor presented a 1-year anniversary certificate, and then we had a meet and greet with neighbors on Sunday. So that's what I've been up to.
And since we last met, I attended Iftar during the Ramadan ceremony at the Muslim Community Center, did the swearing in for the returning planning commissioners, Community Day of Service planning meeting, swore in the arts commissioners, the new ones, attended a legislative overview by Assemblymember Ana Maria Avila Farias, the Eid ceremony at the Muslim Community Center. I served lunch at the Senior Center as part of the Meals on Wheels Diablo Region March for Meals campaign, attended the Cal Cities 2026 legislative briefing, did some state of the city planning. Mark your calendars. I think, are we established for May 18th, confirmed at this point? Okay, so mark your calendars, May 18th, more details to follow. So met with staff and then our vendor Weblative. Tri-Delta Transit Board meeting, the Elected and Empowered Women's Lunch, did a city hall tour with Odyssey of the Mind students, attended the grand opening of the Terrar office building expansion downtown. Space is available if you're interested in being downtown. The Artisan Peacock 1-year anniversary and the presentation, meet and greet at Brentwood Hills. And for those that are reaching out about it, we're still trying to plan a date for our Aging and Disabilities Committee. We've had some trouble with getting those dates lined up. So we're working on that. Look for more details soon. And then Harold, would you like to give any updates?
It's very briefly, Mayor, thank you. Since our last meeting, I had the pleasure of actually having a ice cream or pie social with our 19 new employees that joined us since August of 2025. I also attended with the mayor the Eid ceremony, the Muslim Community Center. I had a chance to work with the Congressman Desayane's office to discuss potentially getting some federal earmarks for the city of Brentwood. I attended today the East County Service Center groundbreaking, and then I also had an opportunity to visit the Citizens Academy with badge number 19. And that is, of course, the chief. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Harold. Do we have any requests for future agenda items?
I'd just like to get an update on the communications policy and when it's going to be coming back to us. So that could be an email or an update. It doesn't matter.
Any others? I don't know that this is actually a future agenda item, but this came up in some discussions around the art funding and the appropriate uses. And I know a lot of this will come up again when we have the presentation for the Vineyard Amphitheater discussion, wherever that's leading. But do we have something more official at this point about whether some of those funds can or cannot be used for anything performance related? Or is it specifically just visual arts? Also, we have over $4 million in there. Of course, we're changing that a little bit this evening. But there was some discussion too around the idea of the harvest time signs and the fact that Brentwood does not have any welcome to Brentwood attractive signs at our major entrances too. So just curious about some of the uses, if we have gotten anything more specific policy-wise. I know we were going to be doing some research with our previous city attorney, and I don't know if we got that far with it.
I haven't seen research from the previous city attorney on those things, but I'm happy to do that.
Okay. So does this need to be an agenda item? Is this something we should just, I mean, is that part of the policy potentially coming up with that other agenda item?
Well, Mayor, what I would recommend is that when the council does its strategic planning workshop coming up, that one of the things that we do in terms of all of your committees that you have, like the Arts Commission, if it's the Aging Commission or any other commission you have, the council needs to give a charge to those commissions to be able to have a set of work product. And so, for example, whatever the council would like to see the Arts Commission take on, whether it's entryway signs or additional programs like we saw tonight, then they have sort of a list of things, and we've been given some direction by the council. It could be just a directive that they could fill in with the goals and objectives. But I think that's really a kind of a way for the council to set the standards, and we can follow up with expectations from there.
Great, thank you very much for that. Okay, I believe we were just looking for one final motion. Yes, nothing else?
Motion to adjourn?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, we are adjourned. Thank you, everyone.